Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. We've got a very special guest and show for you today. I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Neal Morse, who has done it all in the world of progressive rock over the last 30 years. So whether it was a former member of Spock's Beard, currently with the Neal Morse Band, Transatlantic, Flying Colors, I'm sure there's more I'm missing, solo, as well as what we're here to talk about today is the brand new album released with Mike Portnoy and Randy George called Covers to Covers Part 3. So Neal, welcome to the show. It's great to see you. And
thank you. Great to be here.
We met very briefly back in 1999 at the inaugural Nearfest concert, or festival, I should say. So
oh, wow.
I'll take you back to 1999. You guys were waiting to go on stage, and there was no dressing room. What's that?
Was it Spock's or Transatlantic?
It was Spock's, so it was right. And then okay. I saw you with Transatlantic as well. But you guys were waiting to go on stage. You were the headliners with Spock's Beard, and Solaris was actually the band before you who would not leave the stage. And you guys and your whole crew were getting really angry because the time was running short. And I was standing with a couple of friends of mine in this little hallway that was right outside the stage, and you and the rest of the guys were all kind of standing there waiting, and your tour manager was getting really pissed off because Solaris kept playing another song and another song and another song, and it was a bit crazy. And I looked over to you and I said, Neal, because your tour manager's like, if this band doesn't get off soon, we're out of here. And I said, Neal, I really hope you guys get to go on because I came to see Spock's Beard for this festival. And you just looked at me like, we're trying, man, we're trying. So, but long time ago. So anyway, thanks again for coming. So,
is that like in Allentown or?
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That was in the, that was the first, it was in a smaller hall on the campus there. And then when you came back with Transatlantic, you guys played on the bigger stage there. So long time ago. So a new album is coming out in July. So it's a covers album. So I would like to, kind of plug the album for you and then talk a little bit about it. So a lot of bands in recent memory have done covers albums to mixed results. Sometimes it's, part of got to get out a record to fulfill a contract or something like that. But the three that you guys have done feel very different. They kind of sound fresh. They're a lot of fun to listen to, and they come across, as a true labor of love and respect for the original song. So I guess my question is, what is your approach and the other two guys, Mike and Randy, to doing an album of this nature, and how do you want the listeners to take it, and what do you want them to get out of it?
Well, the first two were, they were bonus tracks. I'm sure the first one was, what we really enjoyed doing after we would spend, however long it was, a week or 10 days or whatever it was, constructing and making this, very intricate album like Sola Scriptura or, the One album or, any of those. It seemed like it was a lot of fun and kind of a needed thing for us to blow off some steam and just bang out some stuff that we knew pretty well. That was usually a lot simpler, something we could just play down and do in a couple takes, or one take. A lot of times it was one take, and especially because Mike is just so, amazing and fast. And we did a lot of things that were things that were on their list. Songs that they always wanted to cover. We were either Randy or Mike. I remember, one of my favorites is our version of Feeling Stronger Every Day by Chicago. That was not something that was even on my radar, but once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. And it's something that I really enjoy. If I'm going to just be hanging around the house and I want to put on one of my records, a lot of times I'll put on cover to cover because it's just fun. And, on this record, there was several that were never on my radar. Like Baker Street wasn't, one that I had ever really thought about. Some of the songs are songs I used to play in clubs in the 80s. I used to make a living playing covers, so Running Down a Dream and Black Coffee in Bed. Some of those I used to actually sing. So I'm usually gravitating towards whatever I think I can do quickly and fairly well. sometimes the guys will throw out songs, and I'll be like, yeah, that's great. That's a great song. That's wonderful. But who's going to sing it? I can't sing it. You know, unless we want to bring in a guest, like we did for the Yes tune. Because I just took one listen to that, going, that's cool, man. I love that, but I can't sing it.
Not happening, right? Yeah.
No, it just wouldn't be good. You know, not playing is different. You can, you know, I can play a lot of things. I can figure things out, but your voice it just is what it is to a certain extent, you know. But so that's how it started off. It started off with us sort of kind of blowing off steam at the end of the sessions, and then we had these songs that were bonus tracks on the special editions, and then I think it was Mike's idea to put them together in a collection. That was cover to cover, the first one, and then the second one came, you know, some years later. This is the first one that we actually recorded, not as bonus tracks, but as an album, and so that's really cool. I think it has a different, little bit of a, you know, I think the tracks sound a little more cohesive because of that. On the other ones, some of those are from years apart, different. You know, different. Sometimes a little bit different equipment was used, and so they're going to sound a little different, which is fine too.
Oh, sure. So it's safe to say for the new one, it was basically like, so you all contributed in picking out the songs. I mean, you got
yeah, we all contributed, and there were songs that there's always songs that are real high on people's list that don't make it. You know, there were some ones that I really wanted to do that if Mike doesn't really know it, he doesn't really want to learn something, you know, because it's kind of something we do at the end. And it was that way this time. Mike was doing his drums here in Nashville on the Transatlantic 5, or the next Transatlantic album. And he went overtime, and we were supposed to have, we were hoping to have a day and a half for him to do his drums on this, but he wound up only having, you know, 2/3 of one day. So he did all his drums on this whole record in like 7 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
In typical Mike fashion,
so
right?
Yeah. So he didn't want to get into things he didn't know, and he couldn't just play pretty easily.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the songs, because we just didn't have very much time, Let Love Rule, for example, that was my revelation. I was somewhere and I heard that song. I thought, that'd be a great one to cover. I love that song. Because I don't want to always just do stuff from the 60s and 70s. You know, it's good to do something, you know, from a little different era, something a little different. And so we actually took the actual record and brought it into Pro Tools, and then Mike played to it, and then I took it and kind of messed with it and cut it up a little bit and did all my thing on it. Then I sent it to Randy, and then we sent it to Jerry to mix. And I'm really happy with Let Love Rule. There's a lot of tracks on this album that I'm really happy with, but that's one of them. And you kind of don't know when you're going into it, especially like that. Mike's just like, yeah, don't worry about it. I just want to, you know, he just wants to get done. You know, just put the track up there. I'll play drums to it. You guys can work out the rest of the stuff later. So I changed the key. You know, that was a trip to try and play. Sometimes I had to try to play two stuff, hearing it in one key, but I was playing it in a different key because I had to transpose it for my voice. And that was really a trip. Like on the Bowie tune on Life on Mars.
Which is my favorite on the album.
Oh, is
That's
it?
absolutely spectacular.
Didn't the string players do well on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gideon Klein and Joe said, Gideon was like, dude, I really feel like we found something special on that. I mean, the strings are really very pronounced in the mix too. Yeah, but there was no click. So I'm doing the intro piano. I did the intro piano to the piano, but it's in a different key. That was a challenge. I mean, I guess if I was more technical, I could have tried to put a click to it or something like that. But I was like, I don't know. I'll just play. You know. Then once the drums came in, then I could play with the drums. But yeah, of course, most of the stuff we played in the room. One Word Nightmare, Running Down a Dream, the Squeeze tunes. We played all that stuff in the room, but Yeah, it's fun. It really is fun, and it's fun seeing it, hearing it come together and actually be good.
Well, that's the thing. And like I said back at the beginning, I've heard so many covers albums, and so many of them are just like, they're just not fun to listen to. It just sounds like the band is just going through the motions of putting it out. But I don't get that with you guys. I get the joy behind actually making or putting together these songs and giving them, justice, and just showing the love that you have as the artist for the original recording artist. And I think that's really important. And that helps the listener get more enjoyment out of it. I mean,
Yeah,
Baker Street was fantastic. It Don't Come Easy was so good. And I loved, the Harrison tune you guys did on the first album. And I thought
yeah.
Hymn 43 was terrific.
Oh, great.
So, my next question for you is that I like the fact that you guys mixed it up and covered, like, pop music, rock, prog, the whole gamut, right? But with all of the kind of progressive rock pedigree that the three of you have, how hard is, because you could very easily go, we're just going to do a covers albums of all Genesis, yes, Procol Harum, so on and so forth. How hard is it to not just take the easy way out and do that, which I'm sure a lot of fans would just love to hear, but to incorporate other songs from other genres that maybe you guys have a lot of love for? I mean, I think to me, that makes for a better listen, but I'm sure you hear a lot from fans like, when are you going to do just an all prog covers album, right? It'd be too easy to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, we like to mix it up. We like to, if you listen, on my prog albums, on our prog albums, there's a lot of variety of styles there. That's one of the things I always loved about prog, is that you can have, a folk section and a classical section and a jazz section and all of these things, and a pop and a rock section all together. And so for me, it wouldn't be that as much fun to just do one style.
Right.
And
I knew you would say that.
yeah, well, and it's and part of the how it started was us wanting to just blow off steam and have some fun at the end of these sessions. So part of it was to uh, intentionally do simpler things that you could just bang out after you've worked on all this intricate stuff. It can be very, very fun to just play an E chord for a little
Right,
bit.
get back to basics a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
So another great thing for me, and I'm sure for a lot of fans, in hearing these albums, I mean, you are unleashed with some really fiery guitar playing on these covers albums. And I think that, while you have played plenty of guitar on the various solo albums you've done in Neal Morse band albums, but to hear it just all be you, all guitars, all keyboards, kind of cool to listen to. So how much fun is this for you to be able to just wail away on guitar on these covers albums?
Oh, it's really fun. It is, yeah. Oh, I had a really good time playing. Like the end of Baker Street was really fun. It's always a challenge to try to find your groove. When you set out to do it, you don't really know how. It's creative, so you just kind of set out on your course to. One neat thing that happened on Baker Street was I have this pedal, this Line 6 pedal, like a used thing that just has a variety of sounds in it. And I was looking for a sound, and I just went, and it went to this, I don't even remember the name of it. It was like Tron Down or Tron Up or something like that. And it was like the fading in, it was like, that was great. It's wonderful when you find the right sound, like really fast, and it's just right. So yeah,
Especially on one of those units that have like a million sounds, right? Trying to find something that you
right.
really like.
Yeah, it has a lot of sounds, and I just happened to, you're thumbing through sounds, looking for some, or maybe this with that and all that. But that was really cool because I think the guitar came out really nice on that.
Yeah, the guitar sounds on the whole album are really good. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think the first time I really realized like what an exceptional guitar player you are, which is not something you're known for, was watching all the various live album releases from, you know, Neal Morse solo, Neal Morse band over the years, and seeing some of the Morse Fest footage, and you're up there, you know, rocking along next to Eric, and I'm like, he's got some serious chops there too, Mr. Morse. So it's very good to see. So
Thank you.
So speaking of Morse Fest, so now let's get into, so we got the Covers to Covers 3 coming out over the next couple of weeks, sometime in July. And then I've been reading various things about Morse Fest 2020 Lockdown, which is coming in September. Could you talk a little bit about that and what fans can expect on that?
Yeah, we're going to do a night of playing these covers, many of which have never been played live, or hardly any of them have been played live. So that's going to be really fun, you know, with the horns and the strings and the whole 9 yards. That's what's great about Morse Fest for a lot of well, there's a lot of great things about it. But that's one of my favorite musical aspects of it, is the being able to really do it right, you know, really do a full-on production thing. And, you know, you're not, because we couldn't afford to take all these people on the road, but we can have them come in for one rehearsal and one show, you know. Yep. So we'll have all of that. And then the next night, I have a new solo album called Sola Gratia that's coming out September 11th, just before Morse Fest. And it's going to be released on my streaming app Waterfall a couple weeks before that.
Okay.
So people can get to know that album, and we're going to debut that on night 2 of Morse Fest. And so it's really exciting. And we're going to do all the Inner Circle stuff. Like there's going to be an Inner Circle jam thing, and we're gonna have a lot of surprises, a lot of gifts, and a lot of fun.
That sounds great. So that's new Neal Morse solo. That's not Neal Morse band, correct?
Right, that's Neal Morse solo, but it does have Mike and Randy and right. Eric and Bill are actually on it. But yeah, the difference is that I wrote it. It's really my COVID-19 album. I wrote it and recorded it all during quarantine. And it's the first album that we've made remotely.
Wow.
So yeah, Mike cut the drums at his house, Randy did the bass at his house, and we didn't get together on it. And I think it's pretty great. I think it's kind of along the lines of Sola Scriptura, although it's different. But there's a few of the Sola Scriptura themes that make their way, and so people that are fans of that album, I think, will really love this one. And yeah, we're geared up for it. Rich is just delivering the mixes today, actually.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that. So that's on the immediate horizon. So how about like kind of looking ahead to maybe later in the year or 2020, Neal Morse Band, Transatlantic, Flying Colors, anything kind of percolating on those fronts?
Yeah, Flying Colors live in London, and also it's going to have some of the Flying Colors at Morse Fest footage. That's all coming out on DVD and Blu-ray. I think it's in the latter part of September. And then Jesus Christ the Exorcist, my musical from Morse Fest, the live version of that will be put out in December. And in the early part of 2021, there's going to be, I was going to say hopefully, because I never want to, you know, there'll be a new Transatlantic album.
That's going to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
You know how to take care of your fans, Neal. I will tell you. And in all my years kind of following this music and covering this music, you can always expect something from Neal Morse. Always. And it's always absolutely rock solid. And that's you should be very proud of that.
Well, thank you.
So my last question for today, kind of a non-musical one. So with all the craziness that's going on in the world, in this country and the world lately, you know, not much of it very good. Do you have any kind of positive words for the folks watching? You're always a very positive guy. Just that's your personality, it's your spirituality. But I think to kind of close, what do you have to say to the world about, you know, kind of where we're at and where we're going, and you know how we can get there?
Well, you know, the encouraging thing about the riots, for example, about what's happening in America, well, and all over the world with the riots, is that I believe that God had planted a desire for justice in all of our hearts. And so when you see that, you know, and people get angry and they do things they shouldn't do. I think we all agree that, it doesn't make any sense. You're upset because somebody broke the law, so you're going to go break the law. That doesn't make any sense. I understand that. I understand why people are angry. I've been there. I remember the Rodney King riots, and I was angry too, but I didn't want to get out there and burn anything down, but I'm angry about these things too. But I think what we need to do is, come together in love and really try to be lights of justice, stand for justice and righteousness and compassion for both sides, compassion for the police too. The police have a really tough job and they're scared. I know they are. And, compassion for the oppressed, and try to come together and not go real. I'm against extremism. People are just getting like super extreme on either side. And it's just like, wow, let's come together. Let's see if we can do things that make sense. And I believe that we will. I believe that justice will prevail. Justice has been planted in our hearts. And I want to see justice be done for these people that have been killed. Maybe I'm getting too deep into this, but I want to see justice for all of these things. And let's just keep standing for it. Even when it's not happening, let's stand for it. And I believe that we'll see better days ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. Great words. I totally appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else does. So, Neal, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the new album and all the cool projects that are going on. You are an absolute treasure to all of us, and God bless you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining. Everybody, make sure you visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. Join us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the time. Neal, you got any links you want to plug for all of your stuff?
Sure, yeah. nealmorse.com, waterfallstreaming.com. If you want to, I have my own streaming app. If you want to subscribe to that would be great. I'd appreciate it. And there's over 100 albums on there, all the Transatlantic stuff, all the Flying Color stuff, all the Neal Morse stuff, everything's on there. And so you can listen to it wherever you are in full fidelity. So Waterfall, I also have my Inner Circle, and you can find out more about that at nealmorse.com.
Awesome. Thanks again, Neal. I appreciate it. I am Pete Pardo for Neal Morse. Thanks, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care, man.